Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Against the Grain with Rashawn here, and I just did two videos here and I remembered, this is actually kind of fun. I remember how fun this used to be, so I had another idea to put myself on the scale. I've got a StarFit scale. It's one of those DEXA scale things. I guess it's not accurate or 100% accurate unless you actually get a real DEXA scan, but it's still fun either way. So we're going to take a look at my results here. So I am 6 feet and 3/4 inches. Obviously on dating sites, I'll round that up to 6'1". So, the dudes watching know what that is. But we're going to go through the stats in this one here. For the most part, over the past year, I've hovered between in the high 150s and low 160s in weights. I weighed myself just now, as you see there, 1734, which is about 11 minutes ago from when I'm recording this. And I saw that I'm 165 pounds, which is the highest weight, or is basically at the top level of weights that I've been in the past year. When I started keto and carnivore, I was, I think, in the 175 pound weight range. And when my insulin started to go down, because I stopped eating sugar, I started dumping a lot of water, and I'd lost in total, probably 15 pounds of water. And I had gotten to the high 150s. But for most of 2025, I've mainly been in the high 150s and low 160s. So as we see here, BMI 21.2, 12.6% body fat. There was a good amount of time in 2025 where my BMI was actually below 20, which is interesting, obviously. We'll probably talk about the theories behind that in another video. But go on body composition right here. So we got hold on here, I had a pen thing here. So we got 104 pounds of water weights, right? 20.9 pounds of fat mass, which I don't know what that is compared to most people, but we could do well with a 1 week fast, obviously, and still have a lot of fat there. Bone mass is 7.3 pounds, which I probably should be looking at the app at the same time that I do this, because it gives a breakdown for each of these individually, I suppose. But either way, keeping on going here, the first look here, the muscle rate at 83%. The StarFit app says that is excellent. Excellent is past 79.3% muscle rate. And if you saw my whole body, which in the Crazy Bob sphere, I've shown my body in a picture before, pretty skinny, but that was before I even was on keto, so it looks skinnier than I did back then even. But yeah, skinny, slender. 144.2 pounds of fat-free body weight. So this is body weight minus the fat mass, obviously. 11.2% subcutaneous fat, which is actually standard, not low. So we're in a healthy range, so to speak, right? Healthy is taken in weird ways these days, right? Everyone has a different definition of what healthy is, so take that with a grain of salt. Heart rate is at 70, which is standard, although that's a bit low for me, really, because my heart rate usually is around in the 80s or in the low 90s for the most part. So that one's a bit interesting, but I suppose the lower the better when you're calm. Cardiac index, now this seems to go up and down whenever I do this, but it's at 2.5, which is the low end of standard. But I don't think we have to worry about that. Visceral fat is rated at 4.5. And of course, different from subcutaneous fat, it surrounds the organs. stored in the abdominal over here. 4.5 is low, which makes sense. Down here it says dietary fiber can effectively reduce the absorption of fat in the intestines, increase satiety, reduce total energy intake, which is all, except the last one, all wrong, because I probably eat 2 or 3 grams of fiber a day by way of sauerkraut. So I do not eat fiber at all. So we're going to call BS on that one, but in the context of a carnivore, I guess that would make sense. In the context of a standard American eater, then you might want some fiber. Body water, we're at 63.1%, which is standard. And since I haven't had an insulin blood test at all, but eating this way, you naturally have low insulin, so my body does not hold on to any excess water. Skeletal muscle is at 56.4%. This here says it is standard. So good stuff right there. Muscle mass at 137.1 pounds in the excellent range. Now again, looking at me, you really wouldn't think anything about musculature, but anyone who's seen me without clothes on would know. Pause, I guess. Down the bone mass, we're here at 7.3 pounds, which is in the standard. So the amount of minerals, calcium, phosphorus in the bone, vitamin K2 also directs calcium into the bones as well, right? So for all you milk drinkers out there that don't eat your meats, your calcium may not be going where it should be going. Protein is at 19.9%. I'm not really sure how they measure this, and I've had this scale for about 2 years or so. I'm not really sure how they measure this, but it might make sense because I do eat a lot of protein. I prioritize fat, obviously, but protein just comes along with it. I don't eat a lot of chicken. I'll have chicken in some moments, but I would think that would increase the protein load there. BMR, the basal metabolic rate was 1783. I mean, I don't at all count calories or whatever it is. I don't mess with calories at all. I don't really care. When calories are kind of a meme. When you are someone who eats that does not, in a way that does not invoke the Randall cycle, you know that for the most part, depending on how far you are with this, calories do not matter at all as long as you pick between high fat and low carb and low carb and high fat. As long as you do that, it really does not matter. And body age here, I probably should have been putting this on the camera. So I'm 32 years old, I'll be 33 in April. And my body age here is a cool 28, which is the lowest number that I've gotten here relative to my age at this point before. Fat mass is at 20.9%, which is in the athlete section right there. And if you saw my body, you would think athlete for sure. Which makes me think maybe I should have played sports or more sports as a kid, or taken it seriously as a kid. Water weight, we're at 104.1, which is on the standard. Not too much. And the protein mass, which we talked about already, 32.9, which is very much on the high side. So I'm sure, because I don't vehemently exercise. So I'm sure a lot of the protein that I eat ends up going into gluconeogenesis and all that. So it is what it is. So ideal body weight, I guess for me, is 172 pounds. I put a target here for 175, but we're not getting there. We're not getting there. When you eat carnivore, unless you just force feed yourself, you're not gonna gain a lot of weight. So I think 165 is really what my ceiling is going to be. But 6.5 below, is good. So we're at standard level for obesity, which is interesting. I don't know what the types are on this, but we are also on the high muscle mass body type. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We went on the scale. This is the highest weight that I've been, I would say, in all of 2025. We're in 2026 right now, but let me just try to go through the history of weights here if I can. But if we go month to month, which we don't always have our phone next to us, you see the slope of the weight. This is weight right here. So the slope has gone up from September of 2025. Probably should just take a screenshot. We're too lazy for that. From September of 2025 up to now. Yearly, we bought this scale in 2023. And yearly, the average has been around 160. You cannot see that, but it is what it is. So we've mainly been around 160. The BMI, as we can scroll actually, the BMI, yeah, this is bad, you can't see it at all, but it's mainly been around 20. This is actually the first time since September of 2023 that my BMI has been above 21, which is interesting. Body fat percentage is 12.6. For all of 2025, my body fat percentage, except for last month, was under 11. So now it's over 12.6. But again, hey, listen, have a bit more weight for aesthetic look is completely fine, to be honest with you. One of the reasons why I went on keto was to gain weight, actually, and to have better bodily composition. Now, that didn't happen, but feel excellent. So there have been, that is StarFit Against the Grain with Rashawn.